Hi friends! Today I was supposed to report for jury duty, and it was the easiest jury duty ever because they didn't need me because all the cases had been resolved. So suddenly I found myself with all this free time, and all of that practicing I did to get out of serving on a jury was just done in vain. Guilty! Oh, I'm not supposed to be here if I'm a felon? Yeah, I can't serve because I have non-refundable plane tickets to Genovia. Actually, I've always wanted to serve on a jury, but it just never worked out. This time, all I had to do was call this hotline and it told me I wasn't needed. Last time, this was about 2007, I had to physically go down to the courthouse in Seattle, which was a horrible experience for many reasons. First, I got called up for some sort of drug case, and they asked me how I felt about police officers and if I found them trustworthy. And I said, well, my brother's a police officer. And yeah, you could tell the defense attorney really liked that answer. And the judge asked how that influenced my opinion of cops. And I said, well, on one hand, I think my brother's a good cop. On the other hand, he is the older brother who gave me noogies when I was growing up. And I actually have had some bad cop experiences. Like this one time I went to a high school football game, and this was in our school district, but it was over 20 minutes away from home, and my dad had agreed to pick me up at McDonald's next door afterwards. My friends and I said, okay, let's go eat at McDonald's and our parents can pick us up. And we weren't loitering, we were actually paying customers, and while we were still in the middle of eating, and we weren't taking our sweet time, this cop started telling us to leave, and he was being so obnoxious and was just trying to rush us through our meal. So we ended up eating more quickly than we planned on, and then I went out to the parking lot to wait for my dad, and the cop kept yelling at me, "Go home." And I said, my dad's picking me up in 5 minutes. And he goes, "Go home." Yeah, I'm trying to go home. Go home. I said, well, home is a 20-minute drive. My dad is coming to get me. You know, this was in the 90s. Kids didn't have cell phones back then. And he was making me really mad. So I could have been unbiased in the case. It would have been fine. But I did not want to go to downtown Seattle while my boys were 6, 3, and 2, and I didn't have anyone to take care of them. I still had to go the second day, and this time they called up many more jurors because obviously it was going to be something major. And when we went up to the courtroom this time, there were armed guards all over the place, and it was a much different feeling. And so this was a case where a man named David Koenigs, he was murdered by a guy he was trying to help. This was a homeless man that he hired to help him remodel his home, and he had told him, you can stay here, but you can't bring anyone else in. And when he did bring someone else in, he told him, hey, you can't do that. And anyway, I don't want to tell the whole graphic story, but there were 2 defendants in the room. And when I went in there, I thought, ooh, that lawyer's really creepy. And it turned out that was the other defendant. I didn't know that they could try 2 defendants together. So that was really interesting. I actually thought the day was pretty fascinating, but I hate going to downtown Seattle, especially by myself. If you get lost, it's not easy to turn around because there's all these one-way streets, and then there are streets where it says you can't go straight because this is for transit only. And it's just really overwhelming, and I end up having basically a panic attack. And I found a good place to park the first day, but the second day I wasn't able to find it again. So anyway, with the murder trial, the judge asked who all had hardships, and I had to raise my hand for that one because it was going to be a month long. When the judge got to me, I said, I've actually always wanted to serve on a jury. I think it would be a really interesting experience, but my boys are 6, 3, and 2. I have a son I drop off at preschool at 8:30 in the morning, and then I have to get my kindergartner to school at 9. Then I have to pick up my first son at, I think it was like 11 or something like that. And then I have to go back to the school and pick up my kindergartner. And meanwhile, I have my 2-year-old with me, and and the judge started giggling because my life is so hectic. And he said, well, give it some thought and see if you can maybe work something out. But that was too big a burden to ask any of my friends to take over for me. And my parents at the time lived 30 to 45 minutes away. So that it wasn't going to happen. I was really nervous at first because I didn't know if he was going to let me off for sure. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to be on a murder trial and not be able to tell my husband anything for a month? Like, this is going to be really hard. And my husband, he got to serve on a jury, and it was a drunk driving case. And he was really good, and he didn't tell me anything until it was over. Good for him. And of course, they tell you not to Google anything about the case. As soon as I knew I was dismissed, I went straight home and Googled it. And it was just so heartbreaking. Anyway, I suddenly found myself with no plans. I had set aside today, Thursday and Friday for jury duty. And a friend of mine has been doing a job search, and she has been so stressed out about it, she decided she was going to take the week off. So I had her over for lunch today. I made her a really nice lunch. And then I put on the movie Stop and Go, which has these 2 girls from Studio C. And I totally forgot that my friend has major issues when it comes to saliva or snot. And there's this scene where this guy spits in this girl's mouth, and my friend was full on like dry heaving. Which just made me laugh even harder. It's a pretty funny movie, and it's on Hulu. You should watch it. I do still want to be on a jury someday. I've just been kind of frazzled lately, so it's still not a great time. We dropped my son off at college a week ago Sunday, and this is like a 2-hour drive. And as soon as we got there, he said, oh no, I just realized what I forgot. He forgot his laptop, which he needed the next day for a test he had to take. So we drove all the way back home, got his laptop, had some lunch while we were home, and then drove back to college again. So that was 8 hours of driving in one day. I helped him organize his dorm room, and there's been a lot of back and forth about the student loans and stuff because we're taking on a parent loan, and this is all very new to both of us, and he's been sick to his stomach since I think a day or two after he got there. So course, that has me stressed out and makes me feel very sad for him. And yesterday was his birthday, which is his first time not having his birthday at home. And that was extra hard because he didn't feel well, and I just wanted to drive over there because it's not that far. And I just wanted to pick up everything that could possibly help him feel better. But my aunt actually lives in town, and she brought him some medicine yesterday, so I'm very grateful that she was able to do that for us. It's really weird having two of my boys gone now, and now Andrew is preparing to go on a mission, and so eventually this year all three of our boys will be gone and just our two girls at home. There was this long period of my life where I was a boy mom. Good night, I love you. Oh. Oh, I love it.
And then it also goes like silent night, holy night. And then here's a picture of Jesus.
Oh. I love it. Okay, love you. I can't imagine our house with just our two girls. That just sounds so quiet. I hope you're all doing well. I have to get back to a project that I'm doing. I guess I shouldn't say in case my friend is watching. It's a surprise.